Hey guys, welcome back to Snack Time. My name is Ben, and in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the Miniflux RSS feed reader. So let's take a look at this software. They gear this entire thing to be very, very lightweight. So any of those extra bells and whistles and doodads that are you might see on other RSS feed readers, you're probably not going to see here. But don't let it fool you. Just because it doesn't have those flashy things does not mean it doesn't have an advantage. It has speed. It has integration. Let me show you the software. So we're going to sign in. I'm going to do test 1, 2, 3. It's the default. And when you get to the site, this is it. So let's take a look a little bit closer. Here we go. And it's just waiting for some feeds, man. Let's put some feeds in there. I am going to be using Bleeping Computer. So I'm going to head off to Bleeping Computer and let's grab the URL from that. I'm just going to try pasting just the URL into my feed right here. So I'm going to hit add feed right there. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. I'm just going to hit add feed. We can do exports and imports. So if you do have something that you're already using, you can export all of your feeds into I believe it's probably going to be the OPML file. Yeah, so you'll import that. It's a very common file type that a lot of these RSS feed readers use. So let's just do, I'm going to just do a manual one. And let's see, let's check my advanced options. And here I don't think I have anything that I need to add into any of these fields. So I'm going to just turn that back off. And we're going to do find a feed. Did you see how quick that was? Super fast. And that is one of the advantages of Miniflux. And there's a couple of other like things that are out there that can change the UI a little bit. But honestly, I like this because it's fast and it gets me what I need and very quickly. Again, not a lot of bells and whistles, but that's okay. We can do a lot of the same things we can do with the other ones. I click on this link. It's going to take you straight to the summary, and then we can jump into the external link if you want to. You can also share it and start, or just come back here and say, you know what, I'll mark it as unread, and I'm going to come back here. We can click on the external link. That'll take us right to the article, and we can hit, you know what, I've read all these summaries. I don't find any of them interesting. We can go ahead and click mark all as read, and yes, I am sure. Oh, there we go. It's only showing me my unread, which is kind of cool because I don't have to sort through and see which ones I've read, which ones I haven't. We're going to go ahead and go to, let's look at starred. We don't have anything starred, and that's okay. Let's do this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I can look at my history, and here's all the articles that I have marked as read, and you can mark them as unread if you want to from here. So maybe if you accidentally marked one as read, you didn't mean to do it. You mark it as unread here, and then when you go back to the main page, boom, there it is. This has the same thing a lot of them do, as well as like they have categories. So if you do have a category, one that I use pretty frequently is like security. So I'm going to hit save. There I have my my security feed. So if there is one, the RSS feeds that I want to add into a particular category, I can do that. Now let's see what I edited it. That's fine. It's just going to say what's the name. I mean, honestly, with categories, you don't really need too much else to be really thrown in there. If we go under feeds, we'll be able to add additional feeds into this category. Let's see this. I want to jump in and let's click on edit right here. And okay, cool. I can change my category, and there's a bunch of other things you can change while you're in here as well. You can change the title. Maybe you don't like the title that it auto-populated. You can do the site URL. Here's the URL for the feed. Pick that up automatically. Love that. And description, not really anything in there. Honestly, do you need anything in there? I don't think you do, but hey, it's up to you, man. You can do some customization here, as well as like changing, do you want to be able to, are you showing media or not? Do you want to refresh this feed automatically? All the rest of this stuff, I'll show you down here at the bottom, is really just kind of things that you can customize, but not anything I'm really going to jump into. because honestly, you're probably not going to touch them either. Let's go back to our mini feed. We've touched categories. We can do searches. That's kind of obvious. So let's see if we're looking for anything to do with Microsoft. There we go. Microsoft hackers steal emails. Cool. Let's see. After that, I'm going to take you through settings, and this is going to be super fast. Again, very lightweight. You see how responsive that is? Very snappy. One thing you may be looking at, we have our administrative credentials right here. That's for our account personally, like the ones that we are currently in. Your regular users probably aren't going to see this sort of thing. You do have the option to add additional. You can adjust the reader speed. You can adjust the playback speed of audio and video. Let's see if we let's zoom in here just a little bit more. And we can set our time zones. We can change our theme. So maybe we do have, we want to go dark mode, and let's see, progressive web app PMI display mode. I'm not sure what this is. Let's click on this guy. Okay. Yeah, it pretty much explains it here. I'm not going to change that. Probably just skip over that altogether. My default homepage, where do you want to go? I think unread is perfect. You could do starred, but I mean, honestly, you're probably gonna need to look at what you haven't read first. All right, let's keep going down. We got our older entries are first. We can change that, so maybe like the recent entries are before everything else. Let's see, we can entry publish time is one of the sorting columns. That's fine. Category sorting, no. So there's a lot of good stuff in here. Not too bad, not too shabby. And we can also set up rules as well, like filtering rules. So if we have a particular thing that we want to block from showing up in our RSS feed, we can set that up. If you click on that little button at the bottom there, it will tell you how to pretty much format those so that they can be used to do some filtering for you. I want all the news. I'm not going to filter anything. I don't think I ever have, really. Next up, I want to show you, it's really freaking cool. Check this out, integrations. This is awesome. Like, look at all these integrations that already come, you know, built into Miniflux. Like Discord. You have like a web link, you want to, you know, your webhook, you want to push all your RSS feeds to a particular Discord server. There you go, you're set. So there's also other integrations too. We have our Google Reader. Looks like we have Pinboard, Pocket. Some of these I ain't even heard of. But Telegram bot, that's pretty cool. All right, cool. Next up are our API keys. I think this is extremely valuable because a lot of them have API. But if you wanted a very lightweight reader and you wanted to be able to ingest that into like a program or using some sort of automation with maybe like N8N or Zapier or something, well, you might need an API. So there we go. We can make ourselves an API and pull in all this information. We have a feeder that's doing all the legwork, and we're just pulling in the information and putting it wherever we decide to. Sessions up at the next section here is just the list of people that are signed in, and if we go to users, it says you are the only user. Very sad. Let's click a user, and here we can add another user. So maybe we wanted to give Bob an account. We're going to give Bob a password, and we don't want him to be an administrator, so we're just going to hit save. There you go. It's easy, it's peasy. Nice. Not a lot to it, right? This is the thing that they really pride themselves on. If you look at their site, which we will in a second, their whole thing is, you know, we're very lightweight. We don't have the bells, we don't have the whistles, but we have functionality, we have maturity. I think that they've been around for a little while, and they're stupid fast. So if you're looking for something that's simple and just does the job that you want it to do, maybe check them out. If you are interested in evaluating them, hang around in just a couple seconds. I'm going to show you how to get this set up on your own server. We're going to be using Docker, we're going to be using Portainer, and we're going to put it on the internet using Nginx Proxy Manager. all the stuff that we have done before with our other RSS videos. In case you haven't checked those out, there's a whole bunch of them that I did as well. So let's jump into the installation and let's get this ball rolling right now. All right, I hope you are ready to go. And if not, if you've not set up your server and you've not configured Docker or Portainer or Nginx, you have a video that will walk you through that. I'll try to put a link up there for you to go ahead and get you on the same page that I am on right now. So we are going to start off by going to the website. We are going to miniflux.app. So we are going to scroll down a little bit here and just kind of take a look and see what they have on their site. There's a little bit of a summary as far as what their software is providing you, what their features are. But what we are most concerned with is the installation. That's why we're here. So let's click on the documentation link. And we are going to be using you guessed it, the Docker installation right here. This will kind of walk us through, exactly what you need to do to set this up. They do support AMD 64, which is what I'll be using. But if you want to run this on like a Raspberry Pi, you are in luck. They do support ARM, pretty much all the different ARM variations. And it's just talking to you through the tags, if you're going to be pulling the latest version, or if there's a specific version you want to go for. What I want the Docker Compose, because that's going to allow me to throw it into Portainer, make it so that it's super happy. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and copy. If you take a look at the container file, we'll go through it in depth. You'll see that there's no reference to environment files, so we don't have to worry about copying over an environmental file. So let's go ahead and copy this. And let's go to our Portainer. Next up, stats. Let's create a new one. And we are going to call this Miniflux. Let's paste in what we copied. And what I do with all of my previous videos, I'm going to walk you through all of the changes I'm going to make, as well as kind of explain to you what the different parts of this Docker Compose file does. If you don't care, feel free to skip this section. Not a big deal. We are going to be doing this. So the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be pulling the Miniflux, the latest version. We're going to be using AMD 64. It's just kind of like the default, so we don't have to worry about changing it to ARM or anything. We are also going to be commenting out the ports. And the reason we're going to be doing for that is because we're going to be using Nginx Proxy Manager. That's going to filter all the traffic through the Nginx Proxy Manager. So we're not going to be exposing ports on our local network or to the internet or anything. If you're running this locally, you don't want to use the Nginx Proxy Manager. Good news, just uncomment out what I just commented out. Take this and go, boom, and then boom, and there we go. And that will make it so that you can access the Miniflux container on port 80. Next up, I'm going to recomment those out, and let's take a look here. So it depends on the database, and the condition is service healthy. So this Miniflux container is only going to work if the database is working, which makes sense. It's not a big deal. Next, we have our environment variables that we're setting, and we're not really going to be doing anything too crazy with this. We are going to be defining our database, and which is Postgres. It's going to be the Miniflux right here, which is going to be the username. And that's also defined right here. We're going to be using password of secret. If you do want to change this to something a little bit more complex, 1, 2, 3. If you do that, make sure you change it down here as well. This is the primary reason that a lot of people use environment variables, and they're specified down here because they may not want to have to specify passwords repeatedly throughout their stack. And that's okay, you can do that, but for simplicity's sake, we are going just to leave it as it is. So the next part is the @db, and that is just telling the database path that our Postgres server, the host name is just called db, which you'll see is specified right here. So if you do change this one, if you want to change the name of it, make sure you change it here as well. You don't have to worry about the rest of this stuff. This is Miniflux, that's fine. And then SSL mode is disabled. That is also fine because that is not really necessary for you to have in place, because it's just going to be this container file talking to this container file on its private network, not on the internet. So it's secure because really no other containers are going to be kind of really listening. And honestly, even if it did, it's an RSS feed reader. I mean, unless you're really like listening to some crazy, stupid, top secret stuff, you should be fine. Run migrations, I'm gonna leave as one. We don't have any to do, so it's just gonna be, it's fine. Create admin, obviously I'm gonna leave that as one because I do want it to create one. If you didn't, then you probably wouldn't be able to get in. Admin password, or as our username and password is admin test123. You can change that once you get in. It's not a big deal, but this is the default. Next up is our Postgres server, and this is going to be using Postgres 17-Alpine. That's fine. Again, we have our username, our password, and our database name, which is referenced here and also here. No reason to change this at all. Unless maybe you are using a Postgres server on like as a central one, and you want to just add this Postgres database to the global Postgres server that you're running. Oh, you're a call, man. I've done it. It was awesome. Next up, we have our volumes. This is where the database is going to be living. It's going to be creating a volume for us under the volumes. It's going to be calling it miniflux-db, and here is the colon and the path that is going to be mapped to that inside the container. So when the container is created, this path right here is going to go to this volume, which lives outside of your container. So when you upgrade, do any sort of changes, your data is safe because it doesn't live inside that container. Next up is our health check. Pretty straightforward. It's basically running this command. It says PG is ready, and Postgres is going to say sure, and if it is, then it's going to be getting a health check of good, which tells your, if you remember at the top here, the condition was the service is healthy. If this was not healthy, then you're going to have a bunch of red lights going, you're going to have alarms flashing, and you're not going to be getting your RSS. The interval and the start period is how long it's going to, it's going to run after, I think, like 30 seconds, and then it's going to check every 10 seconds. You can adjust this, but is there a reason to? Probably not. Totally cool. Next, we have our volumes, and this is just telling the Portainer to go ahead and create this volume. It's not already there. We need to go ahead and get it in place, have it created, and so that we can start putting our data into it. Pretty straightforward, right? So as easy and like as simple as Miniflux is to run, it's even more simple, I think, to install. So let's hit deploy stack, and let's wait for our little green window to appear at the top right hand corner of our screen. Remember, this is going to take a few minutes because we are pulling all of those images into our Docker server. We're getting the app, and we're also pulling the Postgres database, and we're mixing it all together, and we're going to make something delicious. Cool, we have a successful deployment. Sweet. All right, so if you opted in to not use Nginx Proxy Manager, your work is done. Congratulations, go enjoy your software and leave me a thumbs up. But if you decided, hey, I do want this on the internet, I want others to be able to access it, members of my team, family, friends, acquaintances, then continue on with me on this journey. Let's go to containers. Let's go to our Nginx Proxy Manager, because what we're going to do is we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. I'm going to move my head out of the way, and we are going to join this to the network that we just created. I bet you didn't know that a network created for you, but was. So right here at the very bottom, we have our Miniflux_default network that was created automatically because we used stacks inside of Portainer. I'm going to join this. And why are we joining this? Because if not, Nginx Proxy Manager is not going to be able to communicate with these two containers. They're all in their own little island, just talking to each other. And as far as they're concerned, nobody else exists. So we're going to introduce them to Nginx Proxy Manager. I'm going to join this network, and that will allow it to communicate with those containers. Next up, moving my head down, I'm going to go to our DNS settings. So in order for you to use Nginx Proxy Manager, you have to establish that subdomain. Hopefully you're used to it by now if you've watched any of my other videos. I'm going to be using Namecheap's DNS server under the advanced DNS. If you have your own DNS server, or if you're using a different provider like GoDaddy, steps are going to be very, very similar, and you'll see a lot of the same verbiage. I'm going to be adding a new record, and that record is going to be an A record. And it's going to ask me for a host. That is going to be the very beginning part of my subdomain. In my instance, I'm just going to call it Miniflux. And then I'm going to take it, I'm going to pipe it over to the IP address of my server. So what's my subdomain going to be? Very easy. It's going to be miniflux.synhow.com. I'm going to save these changes. That is literally all the DNS stuff that you're going to have to do in Namecheap. Easy peasy, right? Pretty much why I use them. I like them. They're not paying me to say that. So let's go to Nginx Proxy Manager. And I've already signed in. But once you're signed in, what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to click on the Add Proxy Host. If you are at the main screen, just click Proxy Host. Very easy. Just thought I'd let you know. Click Add a Proxy Host. Now we are going to be specifying our domain name, and that is going to be the subdomain that we just created. In our instance, it's going to be miniflux.synhow.com. And now it wants to say, you know, it wants to know where are we going to be sending this traffic, man. All right, I've got the subdomain. Where do you want it to go? Well, that is going to be very easy. We are going to be sending it to our Miniflux container. So if you go back to Portainer and go to containers, a lot of ers, and we can take a look at the couple of the containers that we already have set up. And the one that we don't want to put into the database, we need to pipe it off to the actual application. So we're just going to be copying this container name here. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to be pasting this as my host name. The reason I do this instead of an IP address is IP addresses can change, especially if maybe your container gets fired up and the database gets an IP address before the application. Then you're going to have a bad time. All right, next up, we're going to be, it's asking me for a forward port. This is where the traffic is supposed to go on what port. So I want you to take a look at something. I don't want you to get this confused with this port right here, the 80. That is the port that would be like public facing. What port it wants is the 8080. This is going to be the port that the container is expecting to have traffic piped over to. It's the port that it's listening on. Gonna copy this. Gonna go back over to Nginx Proxy Manager, and I'm going to paste this under my port. A couple things that I always like to do. I'm going to go ahead and block common exploits, and I'm going to enable WebSocket support. Let's save this sucker. Once it has been saved, let's give it a security certificate so that our traffic is encrypted when we are talking to it across the web. You can tell it's not encrypted right now. It just says HTTP only. Let's click on the three dots and hit edit. And zoom back in just a little bit. And let's go to our SSL. And let's go ahead and drop this down and request a new SSL certificate. I'm going to force SSL. I don't want them to just be able to ignore and bypass that. And I'm also going to agree to the terms of service from Let's Encrypt. Let's save. We did everything right, and if you did it in the order that I did it, in a second here, this should come up with, yeah, it should go away, which means good. It means we didn't get an error. If you had an error, it would have not went away, and it would have said something like internal error. If you get that, you know, feel free to ping me, but most of the time, it is DNS related. I don't know if you've heard that before, but 99% of the time it's DNS. All right, now that we have set that up, we should be good. I don't think we missed any steps. Let's click on this big green button right here and it should open up a new window, and bada boom, here is our username and password for our Miniflux. Remember, just admin and test 1, 2, 3. And here we go. You're ready to go. All right, so I hope you found that enjoyable and I hope you found it beneficial. Hope we didn't move too fast. If I did miss something or if you have questions, just let me know. I'm always happy to respond to you in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, consider giving me a thumbs up. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. I hope you guys have a good one. And thank you again for watching. Take care.